Welcome to Justice Served TV. I'm Michael Bryant. Hi, Linda Kinnybottom.
Hi, Michael Bryant. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. We're going to do kind of a little short special subject
Mhm.
today because of the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case and this overshadowing of the postpartum depression. Is it a syndrome? What's the best way to
Well, It's
describe it?
actually it's actually a diagnosis. It's
It's
a
in it's a
diagnosis. Yes,
disease. Okay.
yeah. It's a and it needs treatment. And that's the truth about it. It's not like something baby blues they used to call it. It's not that. It's can be very severe. It can be lighter. It's transient. It goes away unless it turns in not unless it's untreated and it turns into psychosis. But that's a different story. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the traditional, and I'll say that because 1 out of 10 women have it. Is something that is now talked about because of basically the legend that we're going to discuss right here on the show right now.
Yeah, yeah. So in the Fitzsimmons case, basically, she was a relatively new cop, gets pregnant, and after the baby starts to have these symptoms, which affects her ability to go back to work, and ultimately, I'm definitely telescoping this down, but ultimately leads to a confrontation with fellow officers in which she gets shot. It had to do with the custody of the new baby, etc. So what we thought we would do is reach out through an old interview, really. Marlo Thomas did this interview with Brooke Shields a while back, but Brooke Shields famously suffered from the same circumstance. And so,
Right.
I don't know,
And
sometimes
talked
with
about it first.
yeah, and sometimes celebrities, can shine a light more brightly on something. And so we
Right.
thought this was, kind of an interesting way to do just that. So let me pull that up here. It's
And
just a few.
while you're pulling it up, she suffered from postpartum depression at the birth of her daughter. Her daughter, Rowan Francis, was born in 2003, and she included she had feelings of doom and suicide. So let's put it in perspective of how serious it is, but it can be treated and is treated if you recognize it.
Yeah, and that's key. And it's been much more recognized in the years since she did this, but this is one of the reasons it became so much better. I don't know if accepted is the right word, recognized is the right word, but people are much more aware.
This is from Olivia. You wrote a book about your postpartum depression, and it sounds scary. What was the scariest time, and why do you think such an important issue gets swept under the rug?
I think that postpartum depression is one of those things where we don't want to admit that it's real. We've been told that it's the most natural thing in the world to have children, and you have a child and you look down on your child and your world comes into focus. And it is so far from being blissful. And I think people need to admit that. That's the first part. That's sort of the psychological aspect. There's a very strong biochemical thing that happens that we don't want to admit because we're ashamed of it. So it needed to be talked about. The scariest part in the world for me was looking at my daughter and truly not feeling connected at all, feeling I could just walk out of the room and never really come back, and she'd probably be better off. Now, it is all I've ever wanted were children. Since I was a child, I knew I wanted to be a mom. Then it happens, and all of a sudden this devastating emotion overtakes you. And then to feel alienated from even the people who loved me the most. Mm-hmm. People don't often know it's happening because the feelings are so real, right, and they're custom made to each person.
Right.
The brilliant sort of nature of depression is that it's really smart. And it's perfectly designed for you, and it's perfectly designed for me. So you're asking you get asked these negative questions in your head, and you come up with real answers.
Right. I hope everybody's listening to this, because I know a lot of women have this problem, and it must be very scary to think I'm the only woman in the world who ever had a baby and had this feeling.
You feel you are the only one,
and it's just so helpful.
It's also, I think we have to look at it as if someone had diabetes, we would say, take insulin, don't do this. This is your biochemistry is just out of whack.
You're so great, Brooke. Really, you are. I mean, this is all about helping women, this whole site, and the idea that you're so able to articulate it. Not just that you share it, but you really articulate it. And I'm sure it really is helping a lot of people.
Thank you. Well, we have to help each other.
Absolutely.
I mean, it does take a village, and we are all living in separate places.
Yes,
so
right.
This is the village.
So there you have it. Interesting, her comparison. I certainly relate to when she mentions diabetes. I have a son with type 1 diabetes. And so it's got to be, this may surprise you, but I've never had a child, never been pregnant. So I don't, I have to try and figure out what that must be like to have this, birth and not feel connected, to feel, to
terrible.
feel, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine.
And it's worse than that because the symptoms, as she said, vary. And people, we know other people now come out. Drew Barrymore, her second child, she had severe postpartum depression. She said it was only 6 months, so hers was short-lived. Adele, the singer, right, Grammy award-winning artist, postpartum depression, and one of the leading legends in the world that we talk about even now, Princess Diana, opened up about her postpartum depression. And it's treatable, it's transient, it's recognized psychiatric diagnosis, postpartum depression, and antidepressants will help. And that's the famous scene, if you recall, Michael, that she was on the Today Show that when this all happened, and Tom Cruise was there too, and he is, being a Scientologist, doesn't believe in taking psychiatric medications, and there was not ruckus is not the right word, but supposedly he jumped on the couch, blah blah blah, and so everyone remembers it for that, not for the purpose that Brooke Shields wants it to be remembered.
Yeah, and so obviously we are not experts, but we're lining up at least one expert. We're going to do a much longer, more thorough discussion of the I'm going to call it phenomenon, because I'm not sure what to call it exactly, because it's evolving in a good way. People are becoming much more aware.
Except in Massachusetts, okay?
Well,
by a
I
certain
think
judge, apparently.
I think that judge has many problems, and being empathetic is on the top of the list. I don't know if she has kids. I have no idea. When I showed her picture, and we're going to get back into that because the case obviously is just beginning. But I found a more appropriate picture, so we're going to show both the one I had used and the one that is more representative of how she looks now. And it looks like 20 miles of hard road. So yeah. I don't know if that's reflective of her personality on the bench or what. But in this case, against Kelsey Fitzsimmons, it sounds like she has no heart at all,
and didn't recognize, and her police department recognized that she was ready to come back to work. Her police department understood it. Her doctors had cleared her for work. Her mental health doctors had cleared her for work, and then her soon-to-be husband went and got that order, as you all know, unilaterally, and as a result of executing the order, she was shot in her own home. So that's what we're talking about, the overlay of postpartum depression in the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case. And people have to be aware of it, and apparently the whole world is, but my feeling in that courtroom in Massachusetts, and maybe with the entities who entered the 2 orders that we're discussing on behalf of the future husband and father of the child.
And again, that's the Honorable Kathleen McCarthy. She's the judge in question. And the child, just for timeline purposes, about 5 months old when this incident happened. So if Ms. Fitzsimmons had cleared protocol, really days before this happened, you get a sense of the timing, under which she was dealing with these symptoms. It was months. So, okay. Well, again, just one of the very interesting elements of this case, which we will obviously continue to follow. So, Michael Bryant here, Linda Kenny Bodden, thank you so much. This is Justice Served TV. Try to do the right thing.